The Tomorrow People episode 4 titled Kill or Be Killed. Now, last week was a cool episode because we got to learn about Kara's past, and this week we got a really cool episode because we get to learn about John's past. Now, I was a lot more excited for this episode. For one, the action was cooler, it had a lot more teleporting in it, which I realized still love how that sounds, still love how it looks. They get into teleporting, having one person teleport with another person, which was cool, but it didn't really get too much into that. It was just as far as training. But we got to learn about John's past, and you know, the previous three episodes, all they've been doing is teasing about how John was, he used to be like the star pupil, or how he saw so much stuff because of Jedediah, and how he dealt with all this emotional stress because he used to work for Ultra until he up and left because things got just too crazy for him. And we learned in this episode, someone he used to work with, Killian, they used to be like best friends when they grew up in Ultra together when they trained. And then Killian was basically given the ability to kill people, which the Tomorrow People normally aren't able to do. And once that happened, he just went on a rampage and he killed people just left and right. And he basically just left Ultra, left town, disappeared, and he decided he was gonna come back because John stopped hunting him. And once he finds out in this episode why John stops hunting him, he confronts him and he wants to work together, but John's trying to be a good guy and he's not trying to just kill humans for no reason, just because he can. He's trying to be a good guy, and Killian doesn't really want to hear that. So they have a couple of fights in this episode. And it was really cool to learn, so much stuff about John. He grew up as a foster kid. The opening scene with him like still in the car, and then he teleports, and he's in the house and he's helping all his younger foster siblings, and he's just basically getting tortured by like this crappy guy, and he can steal food and steal money and all this stuff, and they still have to deal with a bunch of crap because their foster father is just a bad guy. And so John ends up getting picked up by Jedediah, and it seems simple at first, like he's being saved, like, hey, I have, as he says it himself, he has like a roof over his head, he has food. Things start off seeming really nice, he's learning how to use his powers and stuff, and then things get really serious when Jedediah starts to teach him, hey, we do this, like, I'm teaching you how to use your powers so that you can stop people, from using their powers. And he sees people get turned human, and he sees people get killed, and it has an effect on him. And one of the biggest effects was that his friend Killian was given the ability to kill, and that caused him to go on a rampage and leave, which affected John because he had to hunt his best friend. And then when John was given the ability to kill, which is the greatest reveal in this episode and the most surprising reveal, we learn that's why John left Ultros, because as he put it, they turned him into Killian. So it was a really cool episode, had a great ending. Like, that just really caught me by surprise. I figured someone else shot Killian before he was about to get killed. And the Tomorrow People can technically kill other people. It would just kind of have to be by accident because in last week's episode, Kara did kill that boy who tried to rape her. It was just she just pushed him super hard, and I guess they have to literally think about killing someone, or at least like really be close to doing it, like in the actual act, and not just like push someone like she did. But we see that John can kill people, and he pulled a gun on the guy and he shot him before he could basically get bashed in the head with a rock. And it caught me by surprise. I'm sure it caught a lot of people by surprise. Definitely caught Killian by surprise because I bet he wasn't expecting a bullet. But he gets killed off, and I thought it kind of sucks that he does get killed off so soon because I think he could have been a really cool like nemesis for John. Like, they used to be best friends, but now they're enemies. And then like they both hate Ultra, but they still can't like be friends together, which I think that would have been cool. But he obviously wasn't important for the storyline. Otherwise, they would have kept him alive. But for the episode we got, he was a pretty cool character to me. He seemed like he was like the rebel guy. He had all this power, and he could do whatever he wanted because he could kill people. So he was like the ultimate like power to go up against. So like him fighting against John, John obviously having the same ability but wanting to be a good guy. It was kind of cool to see that play out, and then of course John is forced to kill him because he knows, I can't convince him to give up murdering everyone, so I just have to kill him myself. And he does that, and when he goes to Jedekai at the end of the episode, the only thing in my head was why didn't he just kill him then? But think about it now, like all the stuff he said when he was in the car about, you when you kill someone, you lose a part of your soul and stuff like that. It makes sense why he wouldn't kill Jedekiah, because even though he does kind of want him dead because of all the stuff that happened, he doesn't really want to kill him, and he doesn't really want him dead because he's just not that type of guy, and he's trying to live up to, Steven's father's image of what the Tomorrow People can really be. So it was kind of cool to see that dynamic play out in this episode, and everyone just trying to pretty much figure out who John really is, because even this car said there's some stuff that he doesn't say to her. So it was a great episode. It didn't have a lot. The whole family dinner thing, which they kind of teased as a preview. I thought that would be the big focus of the episode, but it really wasn't. But it did have that moment was actually really well done too, with Steven's mom kind of jumping down Jedekiah's throat about how, her husband used to be like this really great guy, and then as soon as he started to work with his brother, things just changed. So, like her also teasing how like Steven, there's a lot that Steven doesn't know about her. It's still, that kind of led me back to, like the first episode where she kind of just seemed like she was super distant, and like she just like wouldn't care about certain stuff at random. It just makes me think, she does know a lot about the Tomorrow People. Maybe she knows, a little bit, or maybe something happened. I don't know, but it feels like they're giving us little hints, like here and there, where they're trying to tell us that she does know something, and it might not be that they are Tomorrow People or something like that, but I feel like she just knows something special, like something important is in her head, and we just have to figure out what it is. Or, well, I guess they'll show us what it is, but really good episode. Excited for next week's episode too, but this one I thought it was just really well done. Great episode, recap the show, John's past. I thought, last week's episode was good because of Kara's past, and this episode, same thing. It was just really, really good, but a lot more action based because he actually had a rival to go up against us, where last week's episode was a bit more suspense. This one was a lot more action based compared to that, which was, how are they going to get out of this situation, compared to, they're just going to fight out the situation and someone will win. But really good episode. Jedekiah just being, straight up villain. I loved when they met at the noodle shop, and he kept saying son. He said it like over and over again. And then when John's leaving, he's about to leave, and he just stops and turns around and says, like, you are not my father. And I thought that was really good. I thought that was just like a cool line for him to say. And it was just interesting because, with Jedekiah constantly saying son, which he also says to Steven, I think 2, maybe 3 times in this episode. But, that's just like kind of his thing when he decides, I'm going to take this person under my wing. That's kind of what he says to them. So we see he is kind of building up to, Steven like being his pupil, and obviously Steven, like in this episode, he does kind of really work with Ultra because he wants to take out Killian, because Killian, on both sides, from Ultra and the Tomorrow People, he's painted as a villain who just goes on, rampages and kills people. So in this episode, Steven really was kind of in the Ultra camp a lot more than he would be, or a lot more than he was in other episodes, and I'm sure a lot more than he will be in future ones. So it was kind of cool to see that, and it was interesting to see, him really wanting to go after Killian is kind of, it kind of put him into a different light with his uncle. So we're gonna see them maybe not bond, but they will at least be closer in future episodes. At least that's what I think. Of course, I don't know, but this episode was really good, slightly different, with Steven kind of pretty much just going in like he really felt like he wanted to do this and capture Killian. and pretty much kill him and turn him, or at least turn him human. Maybe not exactly kill him, but he wasn't too concerned, about him being killed. Only about John being taken out at the end. But great episode, great reveal for the past. Next week's episode with them kind of like trapping everyone in this club party thing. I'm curious to see just how that ended up playing out, where they all end up in this party anyway. But I'm sure that's gonna be good. But so far, I'm really loving this show. Definitely last week's episode and this one, my favorite two so far. I just thought they were, really well done. This one being my favorite because I was so curious, what happened to John when he was with Ultra, and the ending was a great twist too, showing that he can kill people, and he kind of basically says like, "Hey, we're not gonna run anymore. We're gonna fight." And he kind of got that from Killian, who says like, "Hey, you're going backwards. Like we crawled out of the mud, and now you're trying to go back, live on under the underground." And also, they do reveal that Ultra does have that in their files, so they know they're underground. So that's kind of an interesting thing that they sort of just blew past it because of the moment itself. But Ultra does know that they're underground somewhere, but they don't know where. So if they don't move, I think they're gonna end up getting caught at some point in this season, and they're gonna have to find a new base. But great episode. Excited for next week. Comment below. Let me know what you thought. Do you like this episode? With it only being the fourth one, which one was your favorite so far? Um, what do you think about Steven's mom? Like, do you like anyone? If you have any speculations on what she may or may not know, or what we might get out of her, definitely put that below too. But comment below. Let me know any thoughts you have on the Tomorrow People. And thanks for watching.